Hello, welcome back to my second video in my series on teaching grammar in the classroom. Now, as I said before, my previous video, we are not going to be focusing on the structure or the form of the tense, but rather on the functions and how we use it. In this second video, we're going to be focusing on the present continuous. So first of all, thank you once again for coming back to watch another video. As we know, we're looking at the present continuous. So let's take a quick look at what functions are associated with the present continuous. Now that we've seen the functions, let's get started with the first activity that's going to promote these in the classroom. Starting with using the present continuous to refer to events at the time of speaking. The first activity that promotes this function is an activity that I learned on my CELTA course all those years ago. What I do is I have the students enter the classroom and sit down. Then I have in pairs students sit back to back and give them a pen and a piece of paper, and they try to recall everything that their partner is wearing. Give them a time limit, and once the time limit is up, get them to turn around and look at each other again and make any corrections to what they thought their partner was wearing. Now here comes the fun part. Ask one of the students to stand up and do a catwalk around the classroom while their partner reads out all the description that they wrote previously. Make sure students really play with the activity and get into it as much as possible. So for example, Charlie is wearing a lovely blue shirt and a pair of stylish jeans. Wow, you go girl. For example, for another student, he is wearing a plain yellow t-shirt and a pair of beautiful black sunglasses. Oh, and he's also wearing an elegant black mask. Or finally, another student, he is wearing a summer green shirt with palm trees and a bamboo hat. It's so in this season, this look. Oh no, what have I done to my camera? Just remember with this activity, don't let the teacher get too carried away. The next activity that promotes the function of referring to events at the time of speaking is getting students to write a postcard. Now, I know that students aren't writing postcards much these days, but it still serves as good practice for the use of this tense. You can find postcard templates in most places on the internet. I found one through Canva. All you do is ask the students to write a postcard to a family member or a friend, imagining they're in a completely different place, and get them to describe what they can see around them. A little twist on this is get them to write the postcards during a major holiday like Christmas. Here is an example. What I asked the students to do was to think about all the things that they usually see happening on Christmas Day, so you can encourage students to use the present continuous to come up with phrases like, I can see my family opening presents, eating Christmas dinner, drinking lots of wine, Mum, and watching Home Alone, because Home Alone is the best Christmas film ever. The third activity that promotes this function is to get students thinking about time zones. To do this, pull up this website in front of your students and get them to note down the differences between where they live and the rest of the world. You can then get them to come up with phrases like, when I am having lunch, in Australia, they are, and get them to complete the sentence in the present continuous. The fourth activity that promotes this function is an activity that I've done with my kids in my school. What I get them to do is to imagine a moment in their homes. I use this worksheet which shows the split of the house as if you were looking in each room. I get them to think about, okay, how many people do I live with? Do I have any pets? And get them to choose a time on any given day. So let's say, for example, Saturday morning at 10 o'clock. What is your brother doing? What is your mother doing? What is your father doing? And get them to describe this to you, to their partner, or to the rest of the class. The second function that I'm going to give you an activity on is using the present continuous to talk about future arrangements. One of the tried and tested activities that I've used that works with most age groups and most levels is to simply come up with a weekend plan. Hand them this worksheet and ask the students to complete 3 of the spaces available for this weekend. With 3 available, get them to join other students to plan an activity together. You'll obviously have to pre-teach before doing this activity questions such as, what are you doing on Saturday in the morning? Or what are you doing on Saturday morning? Try and encourage the students to come up with grandiose plans, like going whale watching, or playing mini golf, or visiting the moon. When students have completed their weekend schedule, get them to come up to the front of the class and describe their weekend to the rest of the group. The next and final function we're going to be promoting when we're using the present continuous is using the present continuous with adverbs like always to express a negative attitude or to complain. Now, the great thing about this activity is not only does it give the students an idea of how to use the present continuous in a different context, but it also gets them to promote a second function, which is to make a complaint. I give students this scenario. I get them to imagine they've been on a nightmare holiday and they have to make a complaint either to the hotel or the travel agency. Now, they can either do this by writing a letter of complaint or by making a phone call. It depends on what skill you'd like to practice. The last time we did this activity in my class, I opted to practice speaking, and I used this as an example. Hello, room service. Yes, I'd like to make a complaint, please. Yeah, well, it's not the first one you've got. Well, I'm not surprised. Yes, well, the cleaners are always knocking on my door, and the waiters are always offering me prawns. I said I don't like prawns. And the couple next door are always arguing. Well, that's what it sounds like. Well, that's it for this video on the present continuous. I am aware that there are other functions that the present continuous does cover, but in this video we just focus on those 3. Once again, thank you for watching this video, and I hope that it's of use to you when you have to teach this grammar with your students.